saw one. We were in Palm Beach, and there was an art gallery, and it was just like paint thrown at a canvas. And we're like, how do you know my kid didn't do that?
Okay, that's what I want to know. Like, does someone that's watching this right now, if you're listening, Mike doesn't know, or the listener can't see it. So you got to go back to YouTube and watch it. So I mean, like, this abstract art. I mean, you don't know if your kid did it or not, or a professional did it. I don't know.
Well, they've made marks on this because this is right. I'm in our dining room area, or dining area. We don't have a dining room, and like they've made marks on it. And I'm like, who would know anything? Who would know any different? Who cares? Right? Like the walls are all white. You mark the walls. We're gonna mark this. Take a marker right to this. No problem. Here.
Yeah. The abstract art thing. It's like it's cool, but then I also look at it and go, it does just look like a lot of paint thrown against a canvas.
Right. I'm now. This thing kind of looks like a beast's face over here. I was within the abstract art, but I don't know that the artist intended that right here, right?
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it does like a hog, like a pig, maybe a wild boar.
But did the artist have anything in mind? Like, look, the gold paint is chipping up here. And,
you know what I see?
I don't know. What?
I see Jamal Adams coming back to Seattle in there.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask about that and see if that's in play.
I got. Hey, this is Mike Garafolo, by the way. This is episode 115 here at PuckSports.com. Is weekly, brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, family-owned, second-generation independent insurance agency. Been servicing the Puget Sound area since 1978. Contact Jamie. It's raining today, so I don't think he's playing golf. 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Great place to grab a cold beer, watch the game, hang out with friends. New spring and summertime hours at Zogs, Monday through Thursday, 3 to 10, Friday through Saturday, 12 to 10, Sunday, 12 to 9. Visit Zogs on Fox Island, Facebook, Instagram for more information. Are you you're solo parenting today? I can tell.
You can tell. Let's not jinx it. She's quietly playing and eting as I feed her right now. So let's not
what I was going to ask you.
The apple cart.
You're feeding her as you're doing this.
Yes, and I don't want to let her know that there's a person on the phone up here because if she sees that, that's going to break her concentration. So
how's she doing?
She's doing great. Viv.
It's Carmen, right?
No, it's Vivian.
Oh, Vivian. Okay.
Yeah, Carmen.
Carmen, you wouldn't be feeding Carmen.
Yeah. What's Peppa doing down there, Viv? Oh, it's not Peppa. Who is it? Oh, it's George.
God, I love Curious George. I miss Curious George.
No,
it's not
George
George
is Peppa's brother.
Oh, well,
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I think she spotted you.
Uh-oh.
Don't move. She can't see you if you don't move.
So I gotta. It's not gonna air. It's not gonna air today. But I'm going to air it on Monday, but Nolan Teasley, the assistant GM, I talked to him today as we record this on Thursday. And, boy, he gave a wonderful answer on Jamal Adams. I mean, kind of the same thing they've always said. Hey, it's open communication. We like the player. He basically hinted at, hey, we don't think he was used right.
Yes, which we discussed at the time, and I told you that was a separation between the front office and the coaching staff. With regard to them using, and it was that 1 year after. See, I'm trying to remember my Jamal Adams timeline. It was the 1 year after he stopped. It was the 1 year after he had actually played well down low, right? And he had a bunch of sacks. Yeah, and then they put him up top. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I try not to second guess too much because I say this all the time. Even the guys that get fired in the NFL are among the best in the world at what they do, right? It's just not everybody can keep their job and not everybody can win games. But like when that stuff happens and then you actually hear it from within in the building, it's like, what are we doing? That's pretty obvious. That's pretty basic stuff. And that was an issue there.
My takeaway from just talking to him was, and maybe, I mean, you go through this a lot, right? When you talk to these guys, a lot of it's lip service. I don't think they don't ever want to completely shut the door on anyone. It doesn't make any sense to shut the door on a player. Like, why would you do that?
But
I felt that they were that he was kind of genuine about it.
Right. There's a tone here, but this goes back to what I said. And I don't know if he said this to you. you're not coming back. You have to understand what's, again, playing to your strengths, right? Like, you're not going to be is it a point of pride? Sometimes the point of pride for a cornerback to go to safety, right? And so now you've got a safety moving essentially to linebacker, and playing down there in that role. Is that something that, because it's almost saying to a player, what you've done over your career, you can no longer do, even if that wasn't the strongest part of your game anyway, right? So it still registers sometimes with a player that this means that they think I'm not who I was, and that's wrong. I'm still working hard. I still got plenty of good football left. So that's why I think there has to be a point with Jamal Adams. And I don't know what the Ravens told him, honestly. I don't know what they're envisioning for him in their role. But that would kind of be where he'd have to get to in order to come back. So that's why I think if he gets there, and again, he did not leave. I think the reason you're getting a good tone is he didn't leave on a bad note. It looked like he left on a bad note. There was a lot of stuff that happened. And also, you're changing coaching staffs. So any bitterness that he maybe had toward the previous staff doesn't exist anymore because you got a whole new coaching staff. And the fact that the Ravens, I understand Mike Macdonald's no longer there, but the fact that the Ravens are interested leads me to believe that there's probably an interest from Mike Macdonald as well, and maybe similar to how the Seattle Seahawks would like to use him as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have the clip up later of when he talks about it, and then we'll play the whole thing on Monday as part of our Memorial Day Hawks Extravaganza show.
What does that mean? All on tape so you can go play golf?
You know where I'm going to be all weekend? And you know
Tell
what?
me.
You don't have to deal with it yet, but eventually with your two girls, and I hope they get into softball. That's what I want for you. I'm going to be at a baseball tournament for my 10-year-old all weekend long.
I'm hearing a lot of that. I'm hearing a lot of that from a lot of parents.
But I love baseball, and I love doing it. I mean, I coach their little league team, but I don't coach this as like a club team, so a separate one. But
I'd actually I think I'd actually be okay with that as long as my wife. There's no way she's sitting in the bleachers, no chance. But as long as she'd be like, okay, cool, you take them, you got them.
Sure.
I'll go chill at the house. I'd actually be okay with that. I got no problem.
You know what's going to convince your wife though to go? What I do sometimes for the ladies. We had hold on, just listen, hear me out. We had a tournament on Mother's Day. The best part about the tournament on Mother's Day was this: the director of the club sent out this email. Oh, it's gonna be great weather, and I would imagine for all you moms out there, there's nothing more you'd rather do than to watch your kids play baseball. And every mom that I talked to was like, now I can think about a million things I'd rather be doing than sitting in this town that we're in, 90 miles away from where we live watching baseball. But you know what I brought for them? A mobile mimosa bar. So I served them mimosas the whole time.
I thought you were going to say mobile spa or something like that, where they've got.
Could have done that.
That's next year. There you go. You got the spa and the mimosas.
But I'm telling you, when you get into softball, just you liquor her up. You liquor her up, and she'll love it.
Yeah, to an extent. I think my wife leans more to the spa experience. So think about that next year. And give me some credit. Just be like, oh, this was Mike's idea.
Can you imagine going to like a baseball tournament and you hired some crew to come out there in the bleachers? They got the feet like that are in the bucket and they're doing, putting all that cream on and shaving off all the dead skin. Strike two, 3-2 count. Can you massage my calf, please?
I mean, starting to think they should do that at Major League Baseball stadiums as well. I got a lot of ideas for Major League Baseball if you haven't figured it out.
And I'm not kidding, I'd pay a premium price for some seats down like third base line if during the game I was getting a pedicure, but half the game was just because I'll do a pedicure. And the reason I do it is because of the half an hour they spend just massaging your calves. Because that's the greatest thing in the world. Come on, it is.
I haven't tried it. I'm not.
Have you never had a pedicure?
I've never had a pedicure. As a matter of fact, my dad was here, and he was here a short while ago helping us take care of the kids, and now they're gone, and I'm basically operating without a net. But I'm not bitter about it. If he were here, he would tell you as a kid, nobody could touch my feet. I wouldn't let people touch they'd have to clip my nails while I was asleep because nobody could touch I had a lot of weird things as a kid.
You're the anti-Rex Ryan.
Well, I don't know if Rex likes his own feet touched or if he likes to touch other feet. Actually, I know he likes to touch other feet. I don't know about his own feet, though.
That was one of the single best things that's ever happened in the National Football League.
Remind me offline. And when I say offline, like you got to call me. I don't want it on this app where you can record it. I can add to that for you. Okay.
Single best stories ever.
And I'm gonna make it greater for you when you call me offline. Okay. Sorry. Okay. See, I hate teasing this.
That's fine. But honestly, the go get a pedicure. Just because listen, it's not about the nails. It's just about they get in there and they just start working on that calf, and you can't. It's wonderful. It's unbelievable.
Do you get minute by minute ratings for this? Like, can you see where people are like fast forward?
People are dropping off right now.
No. They may be going up. Who knows? Maybe they want to hear about the feet.
It's weird when you do this. I don't know if you guys do this. I promise we'll get back to football. Hold on. Yeah. When you guys do this, like on the Insiders, and you guys go off on your little tangents. I bet when you go off on your little tangents, sometimes that's the better stuff than what's happening with the backup safety for the Guardians or not for the Commanders.
Right. Yeah. You got to get. It's funny you make Guardians and Commanders because they're the two teams that replace the other names that don't exist anymore.
We just go back.
Oh, we're trying in Washington. See, we're back on football. They're trying.
Are they trying to go back to Redskins?
No, they're not trying. I'm saying the fans are trying to make it happen, and any indication that they see that they're like Dan Quinn wore the shirt with the feathers on it that was made by the equipment staff. You know, these coaches all the time will come out in these shirts that are non-licensed shirts that they wear. You know, Tom Coughlin, I remember way back the year that they won the Super Bowl. What was the motto? I think that was the year. Talk is cheap, play the game. And then he had to come up with a motto every year. So they had these T-shirts that came out at training camp. One was burn the boats because of one of the generals burned the boats so that they had to win the war because there was no way to get out, whatever, right. To win it. So it was, and they got cornier and cornier. And actually, All In, I don't know how All In happened, but that was their motto in 2011 when they had a motivational speaker come in the middle of the season. I think it was the middle of the season. And gave them all poker chips and said, you got to be all in. You got to be all in. And Eli put the poker chip on his nightstand and told his wife, like, I got a feeling about this. And he's very superstitious. It's like nobody could touch the poker chip on his nightstand. They wound up winning the Super Bowl. It was very like 2007. Here.
Okay. What a story.
Anyway, how did I get on that? Oh, Dan Quinn with the and I don't remember what the initial question was either. So, they were trying to go back to the Washington. No, there was something before that. They got us to Commanders.
Back to the Redskins, Guardians, whatever. I don't know where we were at. What are you feeding Vivian?
It is a Latin dish, I guess, Cuban dish, called it's arroz con huevo, but huevito for the kids because little egg.
What
so
kind
it's egg and rice.
How old is she?
3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys are.
It's not baby food. It's not. It's just egg and rice together, and sometimes I'll take a spoonful. It's pretty delicious. I mean, they add butter and they add
pretty
oil.
High end there in the big city of yours. Oh, I know what I was going to get off on. There's a tangents about what you guys get on. Right?
Oh, yes.
So here's the.
So.
Okay, continue.
But there's a limit to it because then you'll hear and the producer will kind of, and you know it's coming. It'll be like, all right, let's move on. That kind of thing. Go.
So someone is in my ear telling us to move on, but I don't want to move on. So I did a big thing yesterday. Like I don't know if this is huge in the East Coast, but I have buddies that go back there. I actually have a buddy that lives there, and he was saying because out here in Seattle, tipping is out of control.
Right.
Like they just make you tip for everything out here.
Yeah.
Even stuff like no one helped me, but then they'll flip a thing, they flip the little thing around. Okay, 22%. And I say, no, because no one did
that's a
anything.
no. That's a no.
So my buddy who lives in New York is like, and who lived in Seattle just said, it's amazing out here. There is no push to tip, at least according to him. He's like, it doesn't feel like it's a big push to tip. And he goes, there's so much competition because of all the restaurants and all the places to eat. Like people work their ass off for the tip. See, out here in Seattle, they don't really do that. They just expect the tip, so they don't really work all that hard. And then like they have this attitude. These servers have these attitudes at times where they're doing you a service because you're coming into the restaurant rather than like we should be like attentive to you because you're coming in.
My big pet peeve is like there's no thank you, right? So we just went and we got coffee from. So I go to a coffee shop nearby, and they have a breakfast blend that they blend a couple of their little beans. And so we used to get the breakfast blend all the time. And my wife one day was like, "No, that's it. We're going organic, fully organic coffee." Well, the organic coffee doesn't have a blend. So I had to recreate the blend from their organic coffees. And I've got my whole, I used to have, so it's 3 different beans. And I try to get 2 pounds of the beans total. And it used to be like, of the one bean, we wanted less and then equal amounts of the other 2. I actually just said, I'm driving them crazy. Let's make it 2/3, 2/3, 2/3. So I go in there and I ask, and I'm like, I'm making them do math because they put it on the scale and it's got to come up to 0.66 or 0.67 for one of them because someone's going to have an extra, whatever. And so that I tip. So that's like 2 pounds of coffee, $2 tip. Put it in the jar, not on the machine where I'm paying with the credit card.
Yeah.
And you drop it and they watch you do it. I better hear a thank you. Because guess what? The next time if I come back, if I don't hear the thank you, I may have a second thought about the tip. But, I made you work for it. You did a nice job. And it's not like they're counting the dollars. They don't see what I'm putting in there. I kind of roll them up and boom, And today I didn't get one. I was very disappointed.
Well, and I'm with you. See, this is why I bring cash. I will tip in cash because it's better for them. It's better for them.
It's better for them, and they see it. Yeah. They see it in the jar. Boom.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, all right, listener. We'll get back to football here. 18-game schedule. Seems like this is getting closer to a reality.
And the more they talk about, it was a reality as soon as it went to 17. It's like, how many more years before we go to 18? And I'm kind of rolling my eyes. And again, John Mara is my shield for this stuff because as an NFL Network employee, it's like you're not supposed to go hard on the league. But John Mara, who is one of the 32 owners, who is one of my bosses at the NFL Network, says, not really on board with this one because it's tough on the players. So, John, I agree with you again about all this. And look, what's going to happen is it's the same thing that happened when they went to 17. They're going to dangle it in front of the players by saying, look how much more revenue this is going to be. And it's not just revenue for us. It's for you guys as well. That adds to the pie. That increases the salary cap. They'll take away one of the preseason games in so doing. So the gate will be the same because they make the people pay for the preseason games when they have their season tickets. So they wind up selling out those anyway, even though the people don't show up for them. But it'll be TV revenue as well. It'll also allow them to get these games. They'll have more international games. There's been talk about potentially every team every year having one international game that gets the game around the globe. So that'll be a big part of it as well. It gets into the effect on the bodies. And it's the analogy. Okay, I like this one. So I'm going to say it. The frog in the pot of water where you turn it up 1 degree. If you throw a frog in a boiling pot of water, he's going to jump out right away. Yeah. But if you slowly turn it up 1 degree, he won't notice the difference till it's too late, and then you got frog's legs. So, which I've never had. But that's kind of what's happening right now. Yeah. So if you went from 16 to 18, whoa! If you go from 16 to 17 and 17 to 18, it's like, hey, okay, I just scared her. Sorry.
So where do they stop? 20?
I hope they stop at 18. I would hope. And now listen, selfishly, the only thing that I like about the 18-game schedule is that you're going to have even records now. The 11-6 is going to be out the window now. It's going to be 12-6 or 9-9 will be your old 8-8. Thankfully, they get me back to that. What did you say?
She has the Giants at 11-8 or 11-7.
Well, I don't know what they're Phillies fans, so I've got them. They see a guy around here wearing a Phillies hat. Go Phils. Carmen. Hey, go Phils, right? Now, but here's the funny part. It's so rare up here. It's not terribly rare, but it's rare enough that it's like it's a special thing. We go down to Philly to go visit my family. She's like, well, go Phils, go Phils, go Phils. She's on overload.
It's just a heads on a swivel nonstop.
Yes.
Okay, so we do all things Philadelphia, right? Do we do Phillies? We do Eagles? We do Flyers?
Phillies and Flyers. No, Phillies and Flyers. But I'm not. Again, you believe me or you don't believe me.
But she can be an Eagles fan.
She can do whatever she wants. What I'm saying is, I'll nudge her toward Phillies, so she's kind of already been brainwashed already. I'm not going to hit her with anything football. So she may decide, well, I'll just keep the Philly thing going, or, hey, I see a lot of people who are Jets fans. I think she feels for the Jets fans. I really do. I think she there's a pizzeria around the corner that we frequent. All the guys are Jets fans. Yeah. And so she'll go in there and kind of spell out Jets with them and just kind of get them going. If something happens, like Rodgers tore his Achilles. I can't remember. I had her go in there and say something. It's like something like, "What a 4 plays that was," or something like that. And they were like, "Shut up, Carmen. Do you want free pizza or not?"
Hey, good news for Jets fans. Bad news for America that Aaron decided that he didn't want to give up football so he could run for vice president.
Well, I think the way he phrased it was kind of like expecting to win. He was kind of like, well, either I want to be a politician or I want to play football. Like, you would have given it up for nothing, okay? And I get what he's doing. He's supporting his guy. Fine, whatever. But so remember The Simpsons when Bart believes that Major League Baseball is spying, and they find the satellite comes down. And Bart was right the whole time. And Mark McGuire shows up and says, "You want to talk about this, or do you want to see me hit some dingers?" And they're dingers, dingers, dingers. Rodgers showing up in the slow motion clips, right? That was like the great equalizer. All this stuff that's been happening. Yeah. And then you see him, he's going sidearm and they're rolling it in super slow-mo. And it's like, okay, that's why, we as football fans who aren't Jets fans kind of put up with all that stuff because we like to watch that stuff.
So let's say I don't think they stop there at 18. Let's say they work this up to 20. When do they start expanding?
Oh gosh, you're killing me.
It's got to be on the radar, right? I mean, these guys want more money. They're owners. They're like everybody wants more, and more teams would be more money. And
I'm not like that. My wife is in the business world, and I talked to her about this stuff. She's like, "Yeah, you always have to keep growing. You can't stop growing." And it's like, okay, but I feel like there's this moment here where it kind of falls off the cliff, and it's not like you're just going to go, that's it, I'm out on football. It's kind of be 20 games. Well, if I miss 3 or 4 during the season, what's the big difference? It's that's kind of the way fans are going to have to treat it. If they want to actually be around their families and keep their marriages intact, I would think that would want to be they want to be the case. But no, that's interesting. The expansion thing has not really, the ball hasn't gotten rolling on that to this point. I think in their minds the expansion thing was going to be tied to having a division in Europe, that kind of thing. But that leads to the whole travel thing again. How efficient can the travel be? And if you need free agents to come in because you just had a bunch of injuries, it's a lot easier for a guy to fly from, middle of the country to East Coast or West Coast or even coast to coast than it is to fly internationally. So do you have a base in the United States? And there's a whole lot of logistical stuff.
Is there though? Let's say in the U.S. Is there a market that we're missing on? Like, is there a market that you would say, oh, that would be a good NFL market? I mean, you probably say that about
St. Louis. St. Louis has kind of been, and I don't know what the attendance numbers have been, but it sounds like my buddy Anthony Beck, who's coaching the UFL team there, has been pleased with the support locally, and he's been doing a great job too. I saw him at Jets training camp last year. I was like, is this going to be a thing? He's like, well, no, it's good. I can do it and not have to dive all the way in. But if I want to explore that, I'm laying the groundwork. So there you go, Anthony Beck. Shout out to him.
Okay.
Great story. So high school, he went to Monsignor Bonner. I went to St. John Newman. He was a senior when I was a freshman, but my brother-in-law now, who was my sister's boyfriend at the time, was playing his senior year. And they were like off to a great start. But Bonner had Anthony Beck and this other kid, I think his name was Hemmert, and the quarterback who went to Villanova, Mike Mitros, I think his name was, phenomenal. So we were late, and we got there like 10 minutes late to the game. My parents were there. It was like 21-0, like right up top. And then Beck came and he's standing next to me. And I'm just like, this dude is just, and so he winds up in the NFL and now coaching the Battlehawks. But yeah, St. Louis would be one that I would say, could you get a team back in San Diego? See, I'm thinking about teams places that had teams before.
I was thinking San Diego or Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland's got to have a new stadium, and that's been an issue there for the baseball team.
San Diego for sure.
But is it? I don't know. Do you still have the Chargers fan base there? It's listen, we could find places. We could get you another town in Texas. We could get you San Antonio or something like that, which had hosted games when. You okay? I guess so.
I mean, could you do Mexico City? Would that? I mean, it's international, but it's
closer. It's a lot closer. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So yeah, it's there are options if they wanted to. Now that we're having this conversation, I'm surprised the ball hasn't gotten rolling more. To be honest with you, how about Toronto? Yeah, we can put a team in Toronto. We can go to Canada.
And okay, listen, if they were, and I'm on board on that one, because they love the NFL up there. But if they do go to Toronto, I think they should pay and take the money. Or excuse me, they should pay and take the name. I want the Argonauts in the NFL.
Oh, Argonauts, yeah,
because it's a great name.
I mean, the CFL has a lot of support up there as well. They really do. And,
sure,
but the seasons don't necessarily overlap. But you've got teams here in the U.S. or cities here in the U.S. that have two teams. Toronto's a big enough market, and I think you can get the support. Yeah.
I used to. We had a fishing cabin up in Vancouver Island, and we would go up there in the summer, and then that one I would watch, and I knew nothing about the CFL. They didn't show games down in the States, and then up there I would watch the CFL all the time in the summer, and that was like right in the time where Raheem Ishmael Rocket went to the CFL and paid. Remember, he got like what was it, like $1 million or was it 11 million? It was an absurd contract at the time. It was like, oh my God! And John Candy was an owner there, and God, there was a couple of other guys for Toronto, and I remember watching it, and I fell in love with the CFL. Like, I love the style of play, that they don't run the ball, they throw it all over the place. It's awesome.
Can you imagine that now, in modern day, like a guy going to the CFL instead of the NFL? Can you imagine that?
That was a huge deal.
Wow, I remember it.
Massive deal.
I mean, it was 1990, 1991, something like that. It was, it was.
Because he was the top player. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. And he's like, no, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm going to go to the CFL. What's the latest with T. Higgins? I mean, this thing's going to just drag on throughout the summer?
Yeah. And Cincinnati is kind of they're the kind of organization that just sits on a guy and just like none of this is going to affect them or just, And I don't mean that in a negative way, but kind of like we've got the tag. We're going to use the tag. Yeah. We're not really making a full-blown effort. You have to show up. It's up to you. But whatever. So, his agent is David Mulugeta, who's got a nice client base and has done some really nice contracts and is not afraid, by the way, to ratchet up the leverage as much as he possibly can. So, this is one to watch. I'll put it to you that way.
Okay, so then another top storyline is going to be Dak Prescott. Do you think there's any movement on a deal for him? Does he play this out? Just play out this last year of his contract with Dallas.
The only thing that's got me hesitant is every time the Cowboys see Jerry Jones at the league meeting kind of alluded to, this was back in March, kind of alluded to the fact that he was going to play it out and they had kind of been comfortable with where they were. And then the storyline that we went with and we were hearing was, he's ticketed for free agency. Here we go. And then the Cowboys, every time they talked after that, was like, whoa, we're not, waving the white flag on this by any stretch, and we're going to continue to try to show Dak his value. So that's the only thing that's got me a little hesitant, but I just feel like this one's going to play itself out, and then does he re-sign with the Cowboys or hit the open market? That'll be the question in that little period of time. Are you laughing? Do you hear the music behind me?
What are you playing for Vivian, your 3-year-old?
I'm not playing anything. You see my hands. She's got a Peppa Pig.
What is she watching?
She's got a Peppa Pig house that if you hit stuff, it plays the music. No, I'm sorry. That's Bluey. Peppa Pig is next to it.
Oh, Peppa Pig. Did what was the show that my daughter watched? Caillou? Did they watch Caillou?
No. You want to know why? Because Caillou is a whiny little fill in the blank.
There's some other things I'd say about Caillou, but it's not politically correct, so I won't say it.
I don't know about that part, but I'm just saying he whined, from what I remember. And supposedly they heard the feedback on that and they adjusted it, but he was whiny as all hell when that thing started.
We were big Dora the Explorer in our household. A lot of Dora.
Yeah, we don't do Dora. Do you watch Dora? They know her. They'll see her and recognize her. Do you watch any Dora? Dora the Explorer? What does she sing? We did it. We did it. We did it. Hooray, right? You're shy. You know I'm on the radio, don't you? Otherwise you're yapping the whole time.
Hey.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. Make that noise, Vivian. That's what we're talking about. Hey, can you appreciate, now you don't have this despite having 2 small kids, but do you appreciate Mahomes' dad bod that he rolled into OTAs with?
The gentleman that conducts my workouts, because when I say my trainer, it sounds like Mr. SoCal, my trainer. But anyway, he says it all the time. He's like, I've got pictures. It's like and I don't know who it was. It was maybe it was David Boston or somebody. He's got a side-by-side of like, which guy is the Super Bowl MVP? And it was Mahomes with his shirt off. And so this has been going on for a while. And he says this is basically saying, like, if you come in here and your goals are, flexibility, strength, all these things, you're not necessarily going to build toward that. But this is for what you're trying to do for your life and your longevity. This is what it potentially could look like. So, so I'm down with it. Good for him. Yeah, well, see, it's not a dad bod. It's just, that's how he trains. I remember one. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say, here's the thing I love about him is that it's kind of a throwback because he's taken the OTAs to get into shape, like training camp, like they did back in the day. And I appreciate that about Mahomes. He's
smoking on his way into the building.
Yeah, smoking, drinking, and living life. The guy just won another Super Bowl. It's awesome. Like, let him have an off season, and then when he gets to OTAs, he can be like, all right, I'll stop drinking and smoking like Len Dawson back in the day, and I'll start working
Len
out.
Didn't stop. He was halftime.
And then by the time the season starts, here's the one player in the NFL I'm not going to be concerned about who's going to be ready for the start of the NFL season. It's Patrick Mahomes. He'll be
fine. But I think that's I know what you're saying, and maybe there's an element of that, but I think it's this kind of how he is ordinarily. Sean O'Hara, formerly of the Giants and my colleague at NFL Network,
who looks great now.
Who looks great and just held an event yesterday for cystic fibrosis. His annual golf outing raised a ton of money for it, and just the world's greatest guy doing some great things out there for a lot of people. We were watching, I don't know why we were watching a game. I don't know where we could have been watching the game together, and Brady tries to lay a block on somebody and just gets absolutely pulverized. And he goes, see, there you go. There's all that plyometric stuff. Doesn't allow you the strength to play. And I said, it doesn't matter, Sean. That's not what he's doing on a regular basis. He's like, I know, but I'm just saying it. I said, let him do the plyometric stuff, and he's in, I don't remember if there's a picture of Tom with his shirt off, but, he's in really good shape.
Yeah. Just a bad facelift.
Yeah.
Just not good.
I think he's had corrective, because there was one time where it started to look a little off, and it was kind of like, oh, he's a little back, and now it's, just
real bad. Hey, the one thing about the 18 game schedule, then we'll cut you loose here. But how far do you think the NFL is going to go down with private equity? And does the private equity relationship or going down this road? Are we talking like the PIF, which has been involved with golf? Are we talking that, like the Saudis? I mean, where do you think this one goes and leads, and why do you think that they're willing to go down this road now?
Money. I mean, right? I think that's whenever they do anything. Why are they? Well, money. Just ask. Just clip that soundbite and just play it. Even when I'm not on, you're asking a question to the air. Why not? Money. So yeah, there's certainly got to be a reason in their minds for it. I don't know if they would. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like they're interested in exploring the possibility of playing a game in the Middle East. So I don't know what that leads itself to. Yeah, no, that's been bandied about and kicked around. That's why I say when you get an 18 game schedule, if you devote one international game for every team, that's 16 international games. You need places to play these games, right? And you're trying to grow the sport. That's why the Netflix thing, getting the Christmas Day games for Netflix, was not just about bringing in another streaming service and exploring another avenue for broadcasting. It was Netflix's audience leans more international than the traditional broadcast networks, obviously. So that was a big thing for them. They're trying to get this sport to go global.
Okay, when you say that they want, how soon do they want to play in the Middle East?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
But that's been talked about.
Yeah, it's been kicked around. I mean, they've been talking about playing, everywhere on the globe. How do you see? You start to the further you go. I mean, if you play a game in China, you see what the Major League Baseball does. If they play a game in Asia, they have to playing early while the other teams are in spring training and
Yeah.
then come back and those teams then finish spring training because they need time to reacclimate. I don't know how, you can only go so far away before you've got those kinds of issues.
Well, I guess they're building it for the World Cup. I'm just trying to think of the Middle East. They got soccer stadiums that obviously you could convert into football, and I don't even what time of year. I don't even know what the weather's like. September, October, November. There is it still?
Well, they played the World Cup in Qatar in December, right? Because it was around Christmas time. So yeah. I mean, that's the thick of the NFL season. But do you really want a playoff? The thing about the international games is they've done them enough early in the season where it's not like, hey, this team needs this game to get in the playoffs type deal.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I think you've made it through today's episode. I don't think you need any help. I think it's just you and Mrs. Garafolo from now on. I think it's just you two. You did a great job.
Where's she? She's at work. See, I have the flexibility to be home. So when the situation arises, obviously you can lean on me here. But then when I've got, some things to do, I've got, a doctor's appointment next week that I'm going to have to push. I've got a pool inspection, apparently. They've got to inspect my pool to get final approval, which is interesting.
Wait a minute, you're building a pool where? In Jersey?
Yeah. So we can use it for like 2 months.
Why are you building a pool? Aren't you like 30 minutes from the beach?
I'm the last true family man, like Clark Griswold.
Yeah, you're going to get that. You're going to be waiting for that bonus check on Christmas.
I better get that bonus, otherwise.
You better get, and you're going to go drag your cousin, or is going to go drag Goodell to your home.
Yeah.
That'd be so great.
I'd like Roger Goodell. No, I'm not going to finich that. There you go.
All right, you're the best. His weekly appearance brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, also Zogs on Fox Island. Mike Garafolo every Thursday here at pucksports.com. Thanks, Mike. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, everyone, have a great Memorial Day. You don't say Happy Memorial Day. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and thank you to all who have done everything they can. The ultimate sacrifice there. So, you can have your burgers, you can have your dogs, but remember what it's for. How about that?